Kadabas Qadiri Center, a new episode, dear audience. Follow our continuation of the series of episodes that have been devoted and provided to handle the Sudanese Qadiriyya. So in this new episode, the focus will go on to present and introduce Kadabas Qadiri Center. What distinguishes this Qadiri Center is that it is the only Qadiri Center that is located in the northern part of the country. However, it is a stronghold of the Sudanese Qadiriyya. That is because if you have taken the other branches or the other main headquarters of the Sudanese Qadiriyya, we find that these branches of the Qadiriyya is located in the central part of the country. So with the exception of Kadabas, we find that all the other branches of the Sudanese Qadiriyya is located in the central part of Sudan. The founder of this tariqa is the Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali, a holy man from the Ja'aliyun clan. Kadabas is situated in the northern Sudan on the west bank of the Nile River, west of the city of Berber, 340 kilometers north of the capital Khartoum. Another feature that distinguishes the Kadabas Qadiri Center is that it is centralized tariqa, and by this there is only one sheikh that runs the affairs of the order. Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali, 1818-1898, towards a biography, family and lineage. His full name is Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali ibn Haj Hamad ibn Abdullah ibn Ali ibn Abdul Majid. His lineage ends with Al-Abbas, the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. He was born in Old Berber, Mekherif, in 1818. His family and his sister moved from the eastern bank of the Nile to the western bank before he was 7 years old. That is because their agricultural lands were moved to the west bank by the Nile's flood currents. For more information, I referring you to Bosati Ahmed Abbas, Kadabas Mutubul, published book 2023. His religious education. As he reached school age, Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali moved to the Shaykiyya neighborhood to study the Quran under Sheikh Muhammad Sadiq al-Karuri. It was said that his Sheikh al-Karuri held him in the highest regard and reverence, and even introduced and presented him as an imam to leading the 5 prayers. After memorizing the Quran, he requested permission from his Sheikh al-Karuri to study science under Sheikh Abdul Hamid al-Irikabi in the very same place in Nuri. So he went there to al-Irikabi, and by the way, he followed his religious studies, and under him he ended his jurisprudential studies, mainly the Maliki fiqh, focusing and finishing his studies on Mukhtasar Khalil. One of the most significant events that Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali experienced while in the presence of Sheikh Muhammad al-Sadiq al-Karuri Khalwa, while Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali was in Sheikh Muhammad al-Karuri Khalwa, a very great event and very significant event had taken place. For Sayyid al-Hassan al-Mirqani visited the area, mainly the Karuri Khalwa, and taught all the students the commitment and the pledge of the path of the Khatim or the Khatmiya. With the exception of Sheikh al-Jali, who assured him that his Sufi path Sheikh would come to him in his place. So what I would like to say here is that while Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali with his Quranic teacher, Sheikh Muhammad Sadiq al-Karuri in Nuri, a very important event has taken place during that period. For Sayyid al-Hassan al-Mirqani, the founder of the Sudanese Khatmiya, had visited Nuri and more specifically had paid his visit to Al-Karuri Khalwa. So there he initiated the students of the Khalwa into the Khatmiya, with the exception of Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali. So Sayyid al-Hassan al-Marqani told Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali that his Sheikh will come to him at his own place. For more information, I referring you to Haidar Muhammad Sulaiman, Rajul Kadabas, Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali al-Shaib, Eritrea Publishing and Distribution House, Khartoum, 2023. Towards the end of his religious educational journey in Nuri, Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali had asked and requested permission from his Sheikh to return to Kadabas, where he followed in his forefather commerce career. So Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali finished his religious education at Nuri and then he back to Kadabas, and from Kadabas he started the journey of trading and commerce. And commerce and trading is his ancestor and forefather's career. So he traveled, Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali he started practicing trade and commerce and traveling from Al-Ubayd to Sawakin in trade caravans, and he brought his trade to Mecca and Jeddah, where he did the Hajj and Umrah. Once again, I referring you to Busati Ahmed Abbas, Kadabas Tubul, Eritrea Publishing and Distribution House, Khartoum, 2023, for more information in this particular area. In another narration stated by Professor Haidar Muhammad Sulaiman in his book Rajul Kadabas, Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali al-Shaib, that Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali abandoned his job in trade and returned to his village, where he spent time in prayer, meditation, and devotion. As a result of his extreme piety and ascetic lifestyle, which included a great deal of tahajjud, a great deal of silence, and a distance from people, he left the world and his family behind. However, following this, striving into devotion and worship, his brother, he came to submit or to listen to the request, to respond to the request of his brother, who eventually asked him to travel to Hijaz to perform Hajj and Umrah. Story life was Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali told that he had met an encounter with our master Khadir, peace be upon him, twice. One during his journey in trade in Kordofan, and the second one while Sheikh Ahmad al-Jali in Hijaz. So in two journeys, by the way, Sheikh is still practicing trade, and what had been stated in his biography and story life, that one day, or in the first encounter with Al-Khidr asked him to give up practicing trade, and in his word he told him, this is not your profession, your is the trade of the hereafter. So this is the first encounter in which Al-Khidr told Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali that his trade is not practicing commerce, while his actual trade is the trade of the hereafter, guiding people to the right path. So once again, while he was in Hijaz and after performing Hajj and Umrah, he went once again to practice trade. And Al-Khidr once again appeared to him and make his encounter, telling him, didn't I tell you that this is not your trade? And that your trade is the trade of the hereafter? So from that time on, and after back into Kadabas, Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali once again started the hard devotion and striving as a preparation for future guidance. That is because he will come to be the guide, a spiritual guide to the people and the seekers of Sufism in the country. However, following his returning to Kadabas, he dug a cave and started living alone in isolation. He cut himself off from all the people and worldly concerns, and he used to spend 40 full days in the cave day and night, where he only had 7 dates and just a little bit of water. Sufi Sanad. Similar to how Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari traveled from Baghdad to find his disciples and murids to be initiated and to introduce them into Qadiriyya during Fanja Sultanate, so the same thing had taken place once again during the Turkish rule. That is because Shah Abdurrahman al-Khurasani also came to Sudan searching for his own student. So the story life of Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali informs that his teacher, Abdurrahman al-Khurasani, traveled from the Hijaz to initiate him into the Qadiriyya in accordance to his biography. So before initiating into the Qadiriyya, and for 7 years, Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali remained isolated in the cave, cut off from the outside world. After that, he went out and called several. He made the contact with several shuyukh who had offices for them, seeking the initiation into their Sufi practices, so that he might take the Sufi covenant or the Sufi bay'at. In order to be initiated into the Sufi path, Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali first spoke and make the correspondence with the Sayyid al-Hasan al-Mirqani, and he followed that with 2 other shuyukh, that is Sheikh Ibrahim al-Kabbash and Sheikh al-Ubaid with Badur, but none of them granted him the permission, or none of them had granted him the Sufi bay'at. However, Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali went back again to his cave and cut off with the people for worship remembrance. While he was in that state looking for the initiation on the Sufi path, to Berber came Sheikh Abdurrahman Muhammad al-Khurasani, his future spiritual guide. About al-Khurasani, his biography informs that he was born in Kabul to Arab descent, that is originated from our Prophet, companion, our master Khalid al-Walid, may Allah be blessed with him. His family, Shah Abdul Rahman Khurasani family, had previously relocated to Khorasan and Shiraz. Before traveling to Sudan during the Turkish rule, Al-Khurasani spent 20 years in the Prophet's Mosque. For more information, I referring you to Haidar Muhammad Suleiman, Rajul Kadabas, Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali, published book 2023. It has been stated that Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani had married in Sudan 3 times, but unfortunately he didn't be given offspring. And finally, Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani passed away in Khartoum in 1885 during the Mahdiyya era. So the arrival of Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani, by the way, into Berber during the Turkish rule marked the beginning of the initiation of Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali into the Qadiriyya. For Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali had met him, welcomed him. By the way, when they met for the first time, they embarrassed each other, and then Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali, by the way, did not enter directly into the Sufi path with Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani, as we are going to see here in the following dialogue that had taken place between the two men. So Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani told Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali that he is an envoy. He is a messenger from the Prophet's presence, من الحضرة النبوية, to teach the foundation of the Qadiri path to him. So here what I would like to say that Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani told Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali that he came as an envoy from the prophetic presence so as to initiate the Ja'ali into the Qadiriyya in order to benefit and to spread the teaching and the guidance among Muslims in the country. So the dialogue between the two men had run as follows. My ancestors were not Sufi shuyukh, but they were working with the Quran, the Hadith, and they have their own relation with reading Al-Juzuliyya. That is noted book of Dalail al-Khairat by Sheikh Muhammad Suleiman al-Juzuli. Such was the words of Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali addressing Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani. So Sheikh al-Khurasani from his side replied, "It is not a matter of choice, but rather an obligation and a command, taking the bay'at." Finally, Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali compelled to the act and taken the bay'at of the Qadiriyya. Following his initiation into the Qadiriyya, Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali continued to strive for devotion and worship after satisfying the Sufi bay'at. His popularity went extensively, and as a result, students and devotees, murids from all over the country, came to him in great numbers to be initiated into the Qadiriyya under him. About the initiation of Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali into the Qadiriyya or into the Sufi path, here is another narration that had been stated by the late Professor Ali Saleh Karrar in his book The Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan. So just he would like to quote from his words. When he emerged from his retreat, he said to have written to some of the prominent holy men of his day, Al-Hasan al-Marqani, Sheikh al-Abid al-Badr, and Sheikh Ibrahim al-Kabbashi, asking them to initiate him into their respective tariqas. They are alleged to have replied that they were not authorized to initiate him, that the one who would come to Al-Ja'ali in his home area. Soon afterwards, Al-Ja'ali was recruited into the Qadiriyya by a Persian mystic, Abdul Rahman al-Khurasani, who visited Berber in about 1865-1870. So Al-Khurasan was divinely guided to Sudan to initiate Ja'ali. That is the words of Professor Ali Saleh Karrar in his book, The Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan, 1992. The 10 principles of the teaching of Kadabas Qadiri Center. 10 principles have been set up or have been laid by the founder of the Qadiri Center of Kadabas. So just here I would like to take these 10 principles, which by the way incite and encourage the murid of the Sufi path to abide by and to commit to. The first of these principles, the murid should refrain from swearing by Allah in a sincere, false or forgetful manner. If he can control himself, he will be elevated to the point where he will no longer swear by Allah. And Allah will then open a door of His lights for him, realizing its impact on his heart and bestowing upon him the highest stability and dignity of creation. The second principle goes like, the murid should refrain from lying in jest or seriously. If he is avoiding to lying, Allah will expand his chest and purify his knowledge, making him more truthful overall. And the third principle states, the murid must keep the promise. If he does, Allah will give him the affection of the honest and open the door for him to be kind and modest. The fourth principle states, because it is one of the morals of the righteous and sincere people, the murid should refrain from cursing anything from creation and from hurting or harming any atom or above. This will protect him from the trials of destruction and safety, grant him the mercy of the servants, and make it possible Allah to reward him with the highest degrees and most nearness to him, to Allah. While the fifth principle states, if the murid makes it a habit to avoid praying against others or making supplication against other individuals, he will be elevated in Allah's eyes and win the love of all living things. He should also refrain from insulting people with his tongue or hurting them with his words or actions, even if they have done wrong for him. Principle number 6, or the 6 principles. O murid, avoid bearing witness to any of the Qibla's people in a way that no hypocrisy, nor no kufr, nor no shirk. This is more in line with the Sunnah morals than with the assertion or the claim of knowledge. And it is also more likely to satisfy Allah, who is an honorable gate that bestows upon the servant the mercy of all creation. So the 6th principle here, asking the murid to avoid bearing witness to any individual of the people of the Qibla from outside, and at the same time to be away from describing them as hypocrite or to brand them with kufr and shirk. Principle, the 7th principle. The murid should refrain from focusing on faults and preventing the limbs from them. as this will hasten the soul ascent to higher realms and make it easier to utilize the limbs in obedience. The eighth principle: to refrain from depending on creation for any kind of need. So this principle incite the murid to refrain from depending on creation for any kind of need, no matter how big or small, so that it might enforce morality and prohibit immorality, which is nearer the door of honesty. Principle number 9, or the ninth principle: to cut off his need from people in order to get the pure wealth. So this principle incite once again to incite the murid to cut off his need from people in order to get that pure wealth. This is one of the ways to become austere and gain piety. Finally, the 10th principle, which is part of the principle of the Kadabas Qadiri Center, is humility elevates the rank of the worshippers. Elevates the rank of the worshipper and is the source of all morality. It also enables morality. Humility also enables a servant to attain the maqam of the righteous who are content with Allah in both good and bad circumstances, which in turn is the pinnacle of piety. Such were the 10 principles that have been laid by the founder of Kadabas Qadiri Center. The social role of Kadabas Qadiri Center. Since its founding, the Masjid of Sheikh Ahmed al-Jali in Kadabas has played and continues to play a significant social role. Nevertheless, the Masjid has long been used to resolve conflicts and disputes that occasionally arise between families, ethnic groups, tribes, and members of society. Additionally, for the hundreds of families and individuals that fled their various locations due to the conflict that broke out in the country in April 2023, the Masjid provides a safe haven. So the practical and the tangible social roles that played and still doing by this important and significant Qadiri Center, Kadabas Qadiri Center, that the center now is open, the Masjid of Kadabas now is open and hosted hundreds of families who fled from their different places as a result of the broke out of the war in the country. So as part of the social role that used to be played by Sufis, the current situation now in most of the Sudanese masjids are there and help and providing the services for those who fled from their respective places following the eruption of the war that had started in the country in April 2023. Kadabas charity. Is this part of the documentary that goes on to handle the contribution of the Sufi order Qadiriyya branches? Yeah, just I would like to state part of the significant and important and tangible social role that have been played by Sufis, particularly that is concerning Kadabas Qadiri Center. And in this part of our episode, just here I would like to present how Sufis had played the social role so positively to their own respective populace. However, this part of the information that handle the initiative of building or founding Kadabas Hospital, it came as part of a study that had been carried out by the researcher Holger Weiss in his study, the social welfare in Africa, with a special focus on two studies that have handled in the Sudanese setting. The effort that had been led by Sheikh Ahmed al-Ja'ali in establishment of Kadabas Hospital, and at the same time another study that focus, and it is a setting of a study was in Darfur, led by a Tijani with the name of Sidi Muhammad. So these are two case studies that had been taken as an example of the social role that played by Sufis in Sudan, which is part of a study that covered the social welfare played by Sufis in Africa in general. The study had fulfilled and achieved in 2002. So just here I would like to quote part of what has been stated in regard to Kadabas Hospital, which is part of the initiative that had been taken place in what is known, it come to be known as Kadabas charity. So just here I would like to quote from the researcher Holger Weiss. The second case I would like to present deals with the charity hospital established in 1997 by Sheikh Al-Hajj Hamad Muhammad Al-Jahali, a leader of the Qadiriyya Sufi order in Kadabas in the region of Berber. Although the example of this hospital shows some differences from the case of Sheikh Ibrahim Sidi, both examples have in common that they do not simply constitute a continuation of informal social security systems, but are modern responses to contemporary problems. The formal character of the hospital project is indicated by the fact that it was undertaken by an association founded especially for the purpose of promoting social welfare. Since the mid-19th century, Kadabas has had a high reputation as a religious center. Ahmad al-Jali, the founder of Kadabas, was initiated into the Qadiriyya order in the 1860s, and after his death, the Zawiya continued to be maintained by his descendants. In recent decades, the fame of Kadabas rested on the leadership of Sheikh Al-Hajj Hamad Muhammad Al-Ja'ali, the initiator of the charity association, who died in 1998. Apart from the esteem he enjoyed for being the head of a well-known center of religious learning, his own celebrity stems from his activities as a traditional healer. In fact, during the lifetime of Sheikh Al-Ja'ali, Kadabas was the destination of an incessant system of visitors who came to seek a cure for their illness or simply to receive his blessing, barakah, by providing his followers with amulets, special medical treatments, azima, barakah, and supplicatory prayers. Sheikh Al-Ja'ali offers the services that are considered to be the traditional tasks of holy men in the Sudan. As in other religious centers on the Nile, the core institution at Kadabas is the Quranic school, which has operated since the days of Ahmad al-Ja'ali, the founder. The memorization of the Quran is complemented by the so-called circles, halaqat, and assemblies, majalis, where the student can improve their knowledge of the Islamic sciences. In the eyes of the followers of Sheikh Hajj Hamad Muhammad al-Ja'ali, the significance of these activities transcends the purely religious savia and extends to society as a whole. The people in and around Kadabas are illuminated by the light that emanates from the Quranic schools, and they drink from the sources of knowledge that flow from the majalis. This perspective implies that the mere existence of a religious center contributes to the well-being of the whole region and its inhabitants. The same notion is explicitly expressed in the following statement. From the religious role played by Kadabas emerges its social role. The members of the executive board of the hospital project maintain that the social role of Kadabas and the activities in the field of religious education almost automatically entail a concern with public health. The idea came from the late Sheikh Al-Hajj Ahmad Muhammad Al-Ja'ali himself. The story goes that during a meeting with several of his followers, Sheikh Hajj Ahmad Muhammad Al-Ja'ali suggested that they should build a hospital. What initially appeared to them as an impossible to realize project was finally achieved through the hard and assiduous work and the firm belief of the inhabitants of Kadabas and its surrounding villages. In the beginning, the approval of the regional authorities was needed in order to start the project. The response was positive through the Sheikh, though the Sheikh was told that his people had to build and equip the hospital as a self-help initiative, because the government was not in a position to offer any financial assistance. Much of the work was done in communal labor, nafir, and those who participated in the construction did not receive wages, except the reward they get from God. The social welfare activities of the Sheikh Al-Ja'ali Charity Society certainly constitute an exceptional case in the Sudanese context. At least two features have to be seen as peculiar to the hospital project. Firstly, it was undertaken by a formal organization founded for the promotion of social welfare, جمعية الشيخ الجعل الخيرية, and secondly, its large scale. Nevertheless, in the case of Ibrahim Sidi, use in rehabilitation project that evolved out of the traditional social role of the Quranic school, the hospital can be viewed as an extension of the traditional medical services offered by Sheikh Al-Hajj Ahmad Muhammad Al-Ja'ali. Whereas the traditional methods of healing and care are applied in an informal context, the hospital provides a formal framework for medical treatment. Of course, this shift from the informal to formal sphere also implies a shift in the choice of methods. The hospital offers modern medicine, while the traditional way of dealing with sickness relies on the magical power of the faqih. Although Sheikh Al-Ja'ali was well known as an effective traditional healer, he seemed to have also embraced the advantages of modern medicine. As mentioned above, the followers of Sheikh Al-Ja'ali see their initiative for the promotion of public health as an extension of their religious and social activities. A closer look at the booklet, Mustashfa Kadabas Al-Khairi, reveals further information regarding the motives for their commitment to the charitable cause. The members of the hospital executive committee identify themselves with the group of believers described in the hadith or in the prophetic tradition. God has chosen some of his servants for the task of responding to the needs of the people. He loves them for their good deeds and he endowed them with his grace. They are secure from God's punishment on the day of judgment. Moreover, the example of Kadabas Charity Hospital also shows how Sufis are capable of responding to modern crisis situations by extending their traditional sphere of activity. This kind of charitable work is supposed to be done for good alone and with a pure intention. Provided that these two conditions are fulfilled, everybody who participated in the construction of the hospital will get his reward in the hereafter. For more information, once again I referring you to Holger Weiss's Social Welfare in Muslim Societies in Africa, Stockholm, 2002. The famous, well-reputed students of Kadabas. Among the most significant and well-famed murids of the Sufi order, here Qadiriyya Sufi order in Kadabas, just I would like to mention part of them, as has been stated in the book that have been written by Professor Haider Muhammad Suleiman and Busati Ahmed Abbas. So just I would like here to mention part of those students. Muhammad Ahmed al-Baiti, Ahmed wa Mustafa al-Rubatawi. Ahmed wa Mustafa al-Rubatawi, by the way, is the influential, the erudite and the accomplished poet of the center. Very important figure. And he is the tongue that represented the center, written so hundred of poems in praise of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at the same time in praise of his spiritual guides in Kadabas. Another important student, Mustafa al-Nuwarabi, Abdullah al-Azraq, with Halif from Zidab, Abdullah Haj Noor from Al-Qubush, Muhammad al-Waqi' from Al-Raw were among the many well-known students. And another important student that had been authorized as Sheikh in the Qadri Center, who appeared recently as influential Qadri Sheikh, Sheikh Muhammad Usman al-Gulubawi. So al-Gulubawi is scholar, spiritual guide, Gnostic, and a poet. The Khulafa of the center. Just here I would like to mention the names of the Khulafa of the center, the successor of Sheikh Ahmad al-Ja'ali in Kadabas. The first Khalifa is the Sheikh Haj Hamad Ahmad al-Ja'ali. The second Khalifa is the Sheikh Muhammad Haj Hamad Ahmad al-Ja'ali. The third Khalifa is the Sheikh Ahmad al-Ja'ali al-Muthanna. The fourth Khalifa is the Sheikh Haj Hamad al-Muthanna ibn Sheikh Muhammad. And the fifth Khalifa is the Sheikh Abu al-Qasim ibn Sheikh Muhammad. So this is just short notes about each one of those Khulafa. Sheikh Ahmad al-Ja'ali has succeeded by his son Sheikh Al-Haj Hamad, who memorized the Quran at his father Khalwa in Kadabas and studied ilm under Sheikh Habib al-Siddiq from the Majazi family. He had witnessed with his father Ahmad al-Ja'ali the Battle of Al-Ubayd, as well as the conquest of Khartoum, and had participated in Karari Battle. He spent a period of time at Omdurman during the reign of Khalifa Abdullah Ta'ashi. He passed away in 1914. At the age of 18, Sheikh Muhammad came to the succession of Tariqa Caliphate following his father Sheikh Haj Hamad death. Sheikh Muhammad memorized the Quran at Al-Kitayyab and received the Islamic sciences at Omdurman under Sheikh Muhammad al-Badawi, known as Sheikh al-Islam. The Quranic Khalwa had been expanded during his time, and Sheikh Muhammad had passed away in 1927. Following his death, the Tariqa Qadiriyya in Kadabas had welcomed a new Khalifa, and that was Sheikh Ahmad al-Haj Hamad, known as al-Muthanna. the brother of the previous Khalifa, Sheikh Haj Hamad. Like his predecessors, he memorized the Quran at the Tariq's Quranic Khalwa at Kadabas in Kadabas and studied the ilm at Durman Scientific Institute. His caliphate had extended to reach 50 years. The establishment of the Kadabas Secondary Religious Institute, in addition of the initiation to numerous murids outside the seat of the Tariqa, had attributed to him. He passed away in 1978. Sheikh Haj Hamad ibn Muhammad emerged as one of the Khulafa of the Tariqa, succeeding his late cousin Sheikh Ahmad al-Muthanna as the new Qadiri branch leader of Kadabas. Durman Higher Scientific Institute was his school of study. From 1951 until 1978, he served as Kadabas Scientific Institute manager. The Sheikh Al-Jali Charity Society, جمعية الشيخ الجعلي الخيرية, Kadabas Hospital and the Institute of the Qualification of the Quran Memorizers were among the many humanitarian enterprises established during the time he served. Sheikh Abul Qasim has succeeded his brother Sheikh Haj Hamad in Kadabas. So, following the passing away of the late Khalifa Al-Haj Hamad, by the way, he had come to be succeeded by Sheikh Abul Qasim. So, Sheikh Abul Qasim had memorized the Quran and received the education at Durman Scientific Institute. He practiced politics and had been elected a deputy member at the National Assembly in Khartoum. After only 4 months, is deemed the shortest period at the Tariqa Center in Kadabas. Sheikh Abul Qasim had passed away in 1998. For more information in this particular area, referring you to Abdul Jalil Abdullah Saleh, Sudanese Sufism Historical Study, The Major Turuq, 2023, published book. The current Khalifa now in Kadabas 2024 is Sheikh Muhammad ibn Sheikh Al-Haj Hamad Al-Jali, currently one of the greatest Sudanese Sufi guides and personality.
رفع الشكاوي المكارم ابتنع مساويها والله النفي جام الحكاويها فتح في بلاء على الشكاويها ويا قتل يا نفيس الدعوة خليها ارجع الى الاله ولا اخرع طريحها اعمالك قباح احسن تسيبيها الدنيا بتفوت تتزودي فيها والله النفي جابت حكاويها فضحت في بلاء قالت شكاويها غارت يا سلام عامل فقير فيها قالت يا سلام عامل فقير فيها بوعظ ونصيحة ما بيسويها قومت بعني جاي الحجة خليها أن نلعب شوية نشوف فيها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فتح في بلاء الشكاويها هيا قتلها يا غشيمة النار نسيتيها ما يغشك هواك التوه في تيها إن طولت وين إن قصرت عافيها لابد يوم تموت الناس تفرقيها والله النفي جابت حكاويها فتح في بلاء الشكاويها هيا قتل يا بلي نظم يومك بلاجيها الموت أصل حق عارفاه وعارفيها لكن انت شاب لسه صغير فيها وياما الشباب حلوة لياليها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فتح في بلاء الشقاويها هيا قلت لي عد محال أسهب معاك ليها الحفلة بنات ما لي غرض فيها قالت يا غشيم ما شفتها الفيها الرقص الجديد الكشف خليها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فتحت في بلاء الشقاويها هيا عادت جلستها وجابت محاميها إبليس اللعين ندي مراميها قال لي عيب عليك لازم ترضيها تسمع عليك كلام وتبقى باريها والله النفيس جاب الحكاويها فتح في بلاء الشقاويها هيا قال لي النفيس كيف انت عاديها صالحة واتبعها اوعاك تقاضيها الخير كله فيها وفي مساعيها هاك مني الضمان الما في شك فيها والله النفيس جاب الحكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا قاتلي قوم راح اتبعني في الفيحة ادوك الضمان الما في شك فيها قلت له بشروط قالت لي بوفيها انت تبعني تاب ما بخالفك فيها والله النفيس جابت حكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا هاكي والشروطي استنطع عليها الصلاة في أوقات لازم أصليها أوراد الطريق ما فيش لعيب فيها قالت ليلك علي أوعاك تخليها والله النفيس جاب الحكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا ساقتني وجرد إبليس باريها الصلاة في تعب بقيت أقضيها يومين أتركها يومين أصليها أوراد الجبال ما فيش مجال ليها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا عليه حكم الشريعة بقيت أوريها قلت كان تتوب ترجع من الفيحة لا همها لا غير مبادئها الرجموا انقطعوا ايديها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا الفرغم لعب دايما تريديها وشيل فيها خير بالصد يتابعها كيف اعمل معاها وكيف جاذيها كل يوم جايبه فن جاياني بيجيها والله النفيس جاب الحكاويها فتحة في بلاء الشقاويها هيا الشيخ الرشيد يعرف يجازيها بالجوع الشديد قال لي تداويها او جيب قبضه سلم لجاي ليها بضبح واسلخها وسلمك ليها والله النفي جاب الحكاوي فدح في بلاء على الشباب يا حج حمد الرشيد يعرف يجازيها بالجوع الشديد قال لي تداويها او جيب اقبضها سلم لجاي ليها بضبح واسلخها وسلمك ليها والله النفي جاب الحكاويها فدحا في بلاء للشكاويها هيا الصلاة والسلام بالجملة هاديها للمرسول دليل الأمة هاديها الطيب نظم جايب مبادئها الطيب نظم جايب مبادئها نفسه نفسكم يا ربي تهديها إن شاء الله ربي تهديها إن شاء الله تهديها طال النفيس يا بالحكاوي